Alright everybody, this is Lee Shush K9 Training back with a video after a long while. I wasn't going to do a voiceover for this video, but I thought I should to just explain some of the things that we're doing in this Shush training session with my trainer here. So right now I'm just warming my 1 year and 9-month-old working line German Shepherd up. What you guys just seen me do was I spinned him to the left and to the right, and then after that I rewarded him with his ball. And this was our first training session in a while, actually. I've been pretty busy with work, but I guess you can say, because this is my first working line German Shepherd, I've said that many times, but one of my favorite things about this dog is that you could, kind of come back to training after not training for a while, and he'll be a little bit rusty, but he'll pick up the pieces really quick. So anyways, we're going to start this session off with some healing. My trainer, Rob, he said just to get him warmed up with some Schutzhund competition style healing. And right now what you see me using is a healing stick. And sometimes I fade the stick in and out, but the purpose of the stick is to keep him from foraging and also keep his chin up. And I actually have 2 videos on the channel already explaining, the purpose of the healing stick. It's many ways you can use the healing stick, but, for me, it's to help him with foraging and to help keep his chin up. So, in this next part, because this video is broken off into little segments, the way I combined it all together. But in this next part, we're going to be simulating us going out on the field to greet the judge. My dog channel is mainly focused on Schutzhund things that I'm training with my working line German Shepherd. And as I explained before, Schutzhund is a 3-phase sport that focuses on tracking, obedience, and protection. And, it's basically competition based. So right now, what we will be doing is basically greeting the judge. You simulate that by foosing or heeling the dog towards the trainer. And once you get to the trainer, you obviously give him a fist pump and you say what you're reporting in for, which is a BH. A BH is basically a behavioral test before you get to like the big trials like IGP 1, 2, and 3 and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically what we're doing in this little segment, which is acting as if I'm coming out onto the field and I'm basically greeting the judge, which is important because technically that's when you are already basically being graded or judged by the judge. So as I said, I still use the healing stick when, healing with him, of course, and we haven't quite made our way to fading the ball yet during our healing, but we're going to get there soon. But even when we do get there, you're still going to always want to reward with the ball during training because you always have to reward the dog. So right here, we're focusing on his focus in basic position. So that's why you see me kind of tap his chin with the stick because Rob is kind of distracting him right now. And this is a voiceover, so you might not be able to hear much when the video actually gets on YouTube. You might not be able to hear like the actual live noise, or at least not too much of it. But this is an important training or an important thing to do when training these working dogs because their focus has to be on point. They're constantly graded by their focus. So, it's good if you can put your dog into basic position and you can have somebody maybe clap their hands or run back and forth and stuff like that. And you can either use a prong collar and a leash to kind of, apply pressure to the dog if they look away, or you could use a stick like I did to kind of tap at his chin to make sure that they're keeping their neck up. And right here, Rob is just explaining to me that I need to learn to basically mark first, because our marker word is yes. Once he hears yes, he knows he's getting his reward. I need to say, I need to mark him first and then reward like 3 or 4 seconds later. I can't mark and reward at the same time because then the marker word is meaningless because he's only looking for basically the reward. So what are we doing here? I believe, let me see. I think he said foos him around in a circle. Oh yeah, so he's still distracting him right now. So he told me to just foos him back to the starter line and keep him in basic position for a little while he tries to distract him, which he did a good job. But I was also still trying to, get better at marking him and then rewarding him like 3-4 seconds later. So let's see, what are we doing here? I believe we're going to start some more healing. You're usually the dog for, whether it's the protection phase of shushing or the obedience phase of shushing, the dog is healing for most of that time and is in basic position for most of that time. So, you're going to be working on that. When you get a shushing dog, whether it's a German Shepherd, Belgian Malinois, Rottweiler, any dog, because these days around you can almost do shushing with any dog, but you're going to be healing for majority of that time. So, and the dog is going to be in basic position for majority of that time. So it's best to practice that a lot. So like I said, I believe we were just doing a little bit more healing, and I believe Rob is telling me, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, to get better at rewarding him a couple of seconds after the marker, which is, as I explained, our marker word is yes. Once I say yes, he knows that he did a good job. So we're going to see what exercise we're going to do next. I think he was telling me not to throw the ball too far, because going forward, once I say yes and I say spin after healing, instead of throwing the ball off, I have to hold it off to the side. So I think that was my last time kind of throwing it, because he's used to me throwing it far. So the next time I do it, which should be coming up in the next few seconds, when I tell him to spin, he's going to spin around me, kind of like how you see Rob doing now. After the dog spins, I hold the ball off to the side, and then that's when he grabs it from my hand. And Onyx, which is the name of my working dog, he's not really used to that. He's used to me, after he do what he had to do, he's used to me saying yes and just basically launching the ball. So I think that's what I'm about to do now. Yep, and you can see, because he was kind of a little bit confused. So these are just some things that I got to fix in my training. As I mentioned, we haven't done much training in a little while because I've been pretty busy with work. But, I'm happy that we're back to it, and we're going to be making a huge commitment to achieve our BH later on, sometime this year. So from here, we're going to be working on our about turns. We haven't worked much of this, but you take a few steps and then you make that, I guess you could say, T-step. Kind of have to pay attention to the footwork right there. But Rob basically instructed me. Well, he basically told me, once you're trialing your dog and you make the about turn, you can basically say ready. And, obviously, because you're so far from the judge won't hear you. So you can say ready, and the dog will know to turn, in that exact moment. Now, I'm new to the sport of shushing. This is my first working dog. So I'm not sure if everybody trains it that way, but it is definitely some good advice, because you're out there foosing with your dog far away from the judge. And when you get ready to do your about turn, if you say ready, the dog will know every time, especially if you really drill it into the dog during training, but he'll know every time that he's about to get ready to do an about turn with the handler. And of course, as you see right now, the way you train that, or at least one of the many ways that you train it, is that you use the ball to go around your body. I believe Rob was telling me in that moment, after we make our about turns, take a couple of more steps just to make sure that the dog is, of course, paying attention. And I think this was me asking him a question. I overanalyze everything, not just dog training stuff, but I literally overanalyze everything. So I always want to make sure that I'm doing the right things correctly. I'm doing things correctly. That way I can practice them correctly at home. And these about turns, I've heard a lot of people say, and, Rob told me as well, about turns is something you definitely want to practice without the dog, because you want to make sure your footwork is on point. A lot of these exercises are actually things that you want to practice without the dog. So right here, we're doing our group, our healing through the group. This was I actually cut out a lot of parts of this because the video just would have been a little bit too long, but it was us healing around one person, and we added another person and another person. So this was literally the last part of it. But this is what the dog will have to do during the BH. And of course, Rob is watching to make sure the dog's attention, or Onyx's attention, is fully on me, because you don't want him looking at anybody as, you know, you're hilling around the group or anything like that. Because if you got a good judge, you know, he's going to be, you know, looking at that kind of stuff. And of course, he's grading you on everything. So, and we were training for a minute, you know, an actual BH trial was going to be probably 5 to 8 minutes. But, you know, during training, we were training for at least 20, 25 minutes maybe. So, which is why, you know, you see Onyx a little bit winded. But, of course, he'll have a lot more energy the day of the trial. So, and the reason why I mention that is because he sometimes gets a little, you know, and it's with most dogs because, you know, a dog is going to get tired, especially training him for a little while. But you see his energy kind of dying down a little bit, which is why when you're training, when you're not with your trainer, when you're training by yourself and just a dog, you break all of this stuff up. That way the dog is very, very energetic during those, you know, broken up training sessions. And, you know, as far as us healing through the group, one thing that we do have to work on is our right turns when healing, because he's more used to left turns. So, you know, when we were just healing through the group, one thing I noticed is that he slacks off a little bit when we're making right turns. So that's something we have to work on. So this is the last little segment of this video. This is just working on our plots and our sits and motions. This was another segment that was a little bit longer, but I split the video up just so it wouldn't be too much longer. This is what I meant earlier about him getting used to the ball being the marker reward. Well, him getting used to the ball and not used to the marker, which is yes. And that's because I started, you know, for a while I've been pairing the marker with the reward, and my timing was horrible. I have to mark him, say yes, wait 3 to 4 seconds, then reward him. That way he knows that, you know, he's getting marked for the behavior, and then we reward him for that behavior 3 to 4 seconds later. So that's something that I have to fix, which shouldn't be hard. But anyway, so yeah, this is our plots and our sits in motion. In an actual trial, you're going to be doing this foosing alongside the dog. But when you're starting off, you tell the dog to walk, and then you take about 12 steps. And then, of course, you plot them, which is down, or you make them sits. And as you can see, he's coming off to the side a little bit because it's, you know, it's not bad that his attention is on the ball, but he's looking for me to just throw it instantly. And that's mainly because my reward timing and my marker timing, you know, was simultaneous. So I got to split it up, you know, at least a 3-second gap in between the two. So we're actually about to get ready to end this video. I believe we're going to do 1 plots or 2 plots in motion. It's always important when I'm doing these voiceovers that I know when these videos are about to end, because they just cut off randomly without any warning or anything like that. So it should be ending in the next few seconds. I want to just do a voiceover over this video to just explain some things for whoever, you know, decides to watch it. Because, you know, you have pet dog training, and then you have Schutzhund style training, like, you know, some of the things we're doing in this video. Not everybody knows what Schutzhund IGP style training is. So, I believe that was the last exercise, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.